Hello Johnson's cousins. You've asked me to make a video to tell you how to make Gran's biscuits and gravy, and that's what I'm going to do for you today. So there's a few things you got to know. Number one is what to use, and it starts with self-rising white lily unbleached flour. Unbleached is important. If you can't find white lily self-rising unbleached flour, don't buy the bleached. It won't make good biscuits. I'll make gingerbread another day. So if you can't find that, just use any unbleached. They'll make okay biscuits. White lily makes the best. Like Gran, I don't measure anything accurately. I just do it by eye. So I'll give you the best measurements I can as we go along. When I do it, I think I have about 3 cups of flour, right about like this. Yeah, that's about 3 cups, I'd say. Yeah, that's a little more, a little high. I don't want to have too many biscuits because I'm eating them all alone. Thanks, Corona. So that's about 3 cups. That's a little less than I usually make, but it'll be all right. Slide that out of the way. Gran used lots of different types of oil. She wasn't loyal to any of them. I just have canola oil here. You can use any cooking oil you like. And how much do you put in? I would guess a couple tablespoons. I do it by eye. Yeah, that looks like maybe 2 tablespoons, maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons, somewhere in there. And you'll need some milk. Whole milk makes the best. They were out at the grocery store, thanks Corona. So I'm using 1%, never tried it with 1% before. We'll see if it's any good or not. Pour your milk out for your gravy first. I don't know if it makes a difference, but that's just the way Gran always did it, so that's what I do. And pour some milk in your batter. No idea how much that was. Turn on your oven to 350. And let me grab a spoon. And just stir this in. I'll try to show you the right consistency. My kitchen's not set up well for videos. I have to walk around this giant island. Definitely not enough milk in that. You want the batter to end up pretty sticky. And then bring it back to biscuit consistency by kneading it. Don't know how good this video is, this quality. Doing it on my laptop. But that's about the stickiness you want. Years ago, Gran always did hers in a bowl, but by the time she taught me how to do it, she was already using wax paper, so that's what I do. I'm just going to knead it out on a sheet of wax paper. Makes it easier. When you do it in a bowl, then you got to save that flour separate so that you don't use it with something else. And so I think that's why she switched to the wax paper. So we just put a nice layer of flour on the wax paper. Don't worry if you have extra, you're going to use that in your gravy. Then we rake this big pile of dough out. Take some of that loose flour, scatter it across the top, kind of pat it in there. And then you're just going to pick it up and fold it in. Get your plenty of flour on your fingers. Slip your fingers underneath there. Fold it over. Tap it in there. You're going to keep doing that all the way around. That's how we knead biscuits. Gran always said that she was never any good at kneading bread. She didn't like to make bread because she wasn't real good at kneading it. The biscuits stay a lot wetter than a bread would. So you don't take it nearly as far as you would knead bread. I think that's probably why she said she didn't have much luck. She probably tried to keep it too wet, unlike bread, which you can work with a lot easier. If you stick to the wax paper a little bit, just push a little piece of flour over it and it'll be fine. Alright, let's see if I can do a close-up of that so you can see about where it's at, because it's about done already. It doesn't take a whole lot of kneading. So hopefully we can see this. You'll be able to pick it up. It's fairly tough and just a little bit sticky if you let it tear open. Just kind of pushing it around. That's looking pretty good there. All right. You'll need a cast iron skillet to cook it in. And some spray. I just used good old Walmart's canola spray. Spray it good and heavy. Get the edges of the heel, I think that's called. The heel of your hand, or the butt of your hand, I'm not sure. Get that side of your hand good and floury. Then you pinch off just a little piece in your hand. Should be about the size of a cat's head. And that's why they call them cat head biscuits. Tap it into put it in your skillet and just pat it down a little bit. Don't flatten it real flat. Tap your hands in the flour. Pinch off another one. You can make them bigger or smaller. It's up to you. I don't know if you can tell what I did there. I'll do it a little closer up for you this time. Every now and then fold your flour or batter over so that you can, because it'll get sticky wherever you've pinched off. But when you pinch off a little piece there, just take the corners, the little stray ends there, tuck those under. Kind of make it your circle or oval or whatever shape you want your biscuit. Back into the skillet with it. If you use about 3½ cups of flour, you'll end up with enough to make a pone. Paul always liked the pone instead of the biscuits. And the pone has everything the same. You just put it into a second skillet. I take a smaller cast iron than that one, and just mash it out real flat so you get more of a crispy biscuit, not as much rise in it. So if you have a little bit left over, don't throw that away. That goes into a little Tupperware or something. Put it in the fridge, and then later on you roll it out into take about the same amount that you use for a biscuit. Roll it out, fill it with apple butter, pinch it off, put it in the skillet and fry it. Make you have apple pie. like Granny used to make. So good. Now you take your canola oil and you hit the tops again. Gran always used the butter flavor. I just used the regular. And into the oven they go. Those go in at 350 and they stay in until the gravy's done, and then we start working on those again. Time to make the gravy. You're going to need a chunk of lard if you want to make it really good. You can use oil with a little bacon grease to kill the fat or to kill that oil flavor, or you can use just bacon grease. Bacon grease or lard makes the best, but you can make good gravy with oil and bacon grease mixed to get a decent flavor. And this is real lard. I use about that much. Sorry, don't know if we can see that or not with all the glare, but it's I would say 2.5, probably 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons maybe. Pretty good glob of lard. I'm going to use this flour that was left over from the biscuits. And of course, gotta have some salt in there. Pour that over. Salt it good and heavy. Turn that camera so it's facing the stove a little better. As your lard melts, when you're gonna make your gravy, you've got to make gravy slow. I'm trying to shorten down here so you can see me. So don't get your lard real super hot. I've got mine way down on low. This is a pretty big burner I'm working on, so it doesn't take very much of the gas. So then we add the flour in there. How much flour was that? Good question. I would say that was probably 2/3 of a cup, 3/4 of a cup. Doesn't matter exactly because we're going to adjust it based on looks. I'll probably have to add a little more flour. Just kind of work the lumps down a little bit. Get all those out of there. Smash them out with your spoon. I do remember asking Granny once why she put the milk in the bowl first, if it needed to warm up or anything, and she said no, that's how much gravy she likes to make. That way she knows how much gravy she's going to make. So that much milk will make about that much gravy. She always used that bowl with the brown in it, the old ceramic bowl, and I always use these because I can snap my lid on when I'm done, because I can't. She usually had company to help her eat all hers, and I don't. I would usually take mine to her, actually. We would eat it together back when I lived in Milan. So that was a little bit thin still, so I'm going to add a little more flour here. And I'll try to get you a close-up of this in a second when I get it right. That's looking better. Can't let this sit very long. Gotta keep working it. And this is about what it should look like, if you can see that, I hope. It runs a little bit, but it's not, you can see some gel to it already. You gotta keep working that. Every now and then you'll find a little lump from that. If you had something stick to your wax paper, those little pieces will stick in there. Just mash them out. Doesn't hurt a thing. And the most important part to making good gravy is you have to get the flour browned nice and well. You don't want it to be real light in color. Alright, when you get to the right color, that nice dark brown color, you can kind of smell it changes a little bit. It's not really a burned smell, but it's definitely a cooked smell. It smells just a little bit different. Just keep working it a little bit, and then it'll be time to add the flour. I'm sorry, add the milk. I've got flour in there. Alright, here we go. We'll put the milk in. Don't turn your heat up yet. We'll turn the heat up, but that's got to be later. First, you want to get all of this stuff that was on the bottom off. Just kind of scrape around the sides and bottom of your pan and get all that gel off there. And once that's off, we'll start bringing the heat up. While we're heating that milk up, we're going to go ahead and add the pepper. And I used probably, I always measured out my hand like this. I'd say that's about a tablespoon of coarse black pepper. Fairly coarse, it's the restaurant grind they have. The cheap stuff. I sometimes use the fancy pepper, but that stuff tastes good too. We're going to stir this until it starts making eyes. That's what Gran would call it. And it should be able to start making eyes at you when it's still not super thick. That means you got a good gel to your gravy. If you have to thicken it up a lot before it starts making eyes at you, well then you just probably have a little too much flour in it, or needed a little more milk. And Gran and I, both of us, I've seen her do it too. If once in a while you get off a little bit, you may need to just add a little milk if it starts to get too thick on you. That doesn't hurt a thing. When it gets close to making eyes at you, you'll have to learn when that is. You want to cut your heat back some. It's going to go all at once. I'm going to bring the camera closer. A little thick. We'll add a little more milk to that because that's just a little too thick. I ended up with a little more flour than I intended on, which means I probably put a little more grease in there than I intended on, which just means I made a little more gravy than I intended on. That's not a problem, except for your bury. It tends to get a little bigger. This breakfast is going to be about half my calorie load for today. if I'm lucky. Maybe more than that. Alright, now she's starting to make eyes at me. I don't know if you can see the little bubbles, they pop up like little round eyeballs. Yet it's not real thick yet. It'll thicken as it cools some, so if it looks too thin to you, don't worry. That's plenty thin for a hot one like this, a hot gravy. By the time those biscuits are done, it'll be just right. There he is making eyes at you. And we just pour it right back into the bowl the milk came out of. And that can sit until the biscuits are done. Alright, so we're going to move those to under the broiler. Stop this. Hit the broil button. Start that. Those look pretty good. Got a nice brown on top. Take a basket, turn them out into the basket, and your biscuits and gravy are made. Break one of them open. Hot, hot, hot. See the nice little holes inside. Then we're going to do some alright biscuits. They'd be better with whole milk though. I promise you that. Love you, cousins. Bye-bye.